I wonder what animal activism means these days. Social media has made a lot of groups rich, using animals to pull heartstrings and drumming up emotions by posting pictures of animals suffering with a donate button at the side of the page. I was looking at a recent slaughter in the Faroe Islands of a pod of pilot whales and thinking, here we go again. It seems there's another group that's been formed in the shadow of Sea Shepard by Paul Watson, former co-founder of Greenpeace and founder of Sea Shepard. In the early days, I was a fan of Sea Shepard and condoned their policies on policing the oceans and battling those who would pillage the seas. It all went sour for me when they started visiting Japan and the infamous Cove in Taiji. They used Taiji to make a lot of money. I went to Taiji 5 times as an independent and witnessed some of the worst behaviour I've ever seen. Sea Shepard drummed up so much hatred of the Japanese, calling them names and walking through the town like an army invading their country. Some of the behaviour was unforgivable. You can still see the videos they made on YouTube. People like the West family disrespecting local people and even shouting abuse outside the places where they lived. The fact was, only a small number of fishermen were killing dolphins, but the whole town was condemned by out-of-control thugs. I saw it while I was there, and I reported it on social media. I was quickly made a target by Watson and his supporters as they made up lies about me. Sea Shepard's campaign was named Infinite Patience. After they had exhausted everyone's patience and their funding started to suffer, they pulled out of Japan. The dolphin slaughter is still happening every year between September and March. What Sea Shepard did was create a bond between local people who thought all Westerners were there to cause trouble. Watson was even quoted that he hoped a typhoon would wipe out the town of Taiji. All the good work Rick O'Barry had done with his dolphin project was destroyed in the few years Sea Shepard was there. Rick was trying to educate locals and involve them by educating them with science. Dolphin meat has high content of mercury. The movie The Cove explained this, and Rick tried to get the movie circulated in Japan. Sea Shepard destroyed all the work Rick and Dolphin Project had done. In fact, Rick and myself were banned from Japan because we were all associated with Sea Shepard's behaviour. I can hopefully go back next year after my 10-year ban. My crime was I was accused of being part of Sea Shepard and deemed an eco-terrorist. Rick is still seen as a Sea Shepard puppet. Thousands of people stood outside Japanese embassies all over the world. Thousands would stand in London, Paris, New York, Sydney. It all stopped because we all knew aggression this way was not doing anything. The dolphins are still being slaughtered, and I guess infinite patience wasn't infinite enough. I went to the Faroes 13 years ago to work on a film and was greeted by the same resistance as Taiji. Sea Shepard had visited the islands to create havoc. Some guy in Texas, who had a large following, had warned the Faroes that I was coming.
The gentleman by the name of Martin Stewart. Martin Stewart is a wildlife videographer and photographer. Recently on his Facebook page, he announced he's headed to the Faroe Islands. That's right, you good people in the Faroe Islands, you're going to be subject to this gentleman. Yeah, he's coming there. Now, he was a part of the Cove Coward Guardians, and remember, their goal was to harass, be confrontational and aggressive, such as Sea Shepard. Well, the Cove Cowards threw him out of the group. They did not want him back because of his behavior. It was too reprehensible for them. It's too reprehensible for any civilized person. So now he's headed to the Faroe Islands. To the good people of the Faroe Islands, please be warned. This is not a gentleman you want to associate with, you want to enable or be a part of. Stand clear of him because he's only there to cause trouble. He's only there to create videos or photographs that's going to make your country, your community look evil in the eyes of the world.
I was still tarnished with the Sea Shepard sticker. I stayed with a whaler in his home and befriended some local people, but all in all, I was seen as a disruptor. Watson again was quoted that the island was full of inbreds and psychopaths. The Sea Shepherds did nothing for the whales being killed and could never stop the drives that happened. It was all a big idea to make money and create emotions by taking pictures of Vikings killing whales. Sea Shepard got a TV series from it all and became larger than life. Watson even faked being shot in one of the Whale Wars programs. Those that were there testified it was all to create effect and make it all dramatic. Sea Shepard's funding went through the roof in donations from Taiji, the Faroes, and campaigns in the Southern Oceans. I spoke to a few people on the Faroe Islands that stated those who were not sure of the Grind were united in support for it after what Sea Shepard had done. Watson took a step back after all the emotions died down and was hardly heard of until now. He must be short of money. He is back with a boat in the Faroe Islands under a new name, Paul Watson Foundation. Thousands of followers who think he can do no wrong are throwing their adulation at him again and calling the islanders names and wishing death on the place. To state that all Faroese are monsters is ludicrous, like saying all Muslims are terrorists. I've seen some horrible things in my own country, but I know we're not all the same. It's plain ignorance to call a nation out for a few bad ones. What has history taught us? What did Sea Shepard do that was productive in Japan and the Faroe Islands the last time? Nothing. I can only think it will unite the islands again against everyone that objects to the Grind. Those that had never touched a knife to kill a whale attended classes in their hundreds to do it, just out of spite. I spoke to Rooney Nelson and he had some very strong words about outsiders like Watson and his gang. He was doing an education program about animal activism and he was dead against the Grind.
My name is Rooney and I'm active in animal welfare, and we are actually now working on building the first ever animal shelter in the Faroe Islands. And it's going to be both an animal shelter and also a wildlife station, and also a station where you are going to conserve these really rare animals in the Faroes. For example, the domestic animal, the Faroese horse, which is a special breed on its own. We also have Faroese cow, and all sorts of activities are going to be in this place about that's all about animals and conserving animals. We are going to have a veterinary clinic there. We are going to have programs where people can be helping, being volunteers, coming in, helping animals, learning about animals. The most important thing is the education actually in this. So getting people to interact with animals in ways that they did not do before. We don't have it as much here as everywhere else, but we have also the tendency here that people can be quite city slickers around animals. They think that the milk from the cow actually comes from a factory, and they don't know a lot about farming, freeland farming, and so on. Don't know a lot about animals, and so we are going to give them another connection with animals. Also, children, schools are going to come on tours there. We already have the land, so it's really good.
The fact is, most people in the Faroe Islands don't know the Grind is going on. It's not in their mind constantly. Having Watson turn up and shining a light on it all creates interest.
My impression of the number of people concerned in the hunt is actually that it is quite low. But it is one of these things, when you get aware of it, you see it everywhere. For example, if you have a car that you really, really want, and suddenly you see this make-of car everywhere on every corner. And this is the same with the Grind in the Faroe Islands, that there are not a lot of people that are thinking about it in their everyday. It might be the hunters that are organized in the GMF, in the Grinders Association, Those might be thinking about it on an everyday basis, but other people are not thinking about it. It's just something that happens. It's opportunistic. It happens really not on a timeline or on a schedule or anything. So they do not think about it every day.
What Watson will do is take this back 13 years and destroy all the work he's done. Conservation is about education. We don't walk into a facility in the country we live in, say like a slaughterhouse, and act this way. Why do we allow it to happen like this? Watson and his group only care about raising money.
Actually, even if I'm really pro-Faroese culture, I'm actually against grinding. So this puts me in a strange position, because you have all these outsiders that want exactly the same as I do, but they do not care about killing the Faroese culture in the wake of this. So I really want to, keep the Faroese culture and stop the grinding.
Why do you think Sea Shepard distanced themselves from Watson? Too many people believe Watson was unpredictable and impulsive, like a kid who wants his own way, and that's why he now has a new group, so he can call the shots again and brainwash people into giving him money. Violence doesn't achieve anything. The Faroe Islands know how to control Watson, and I'll tell you now, Watson will not stop any grind. He will lie and elicit your money. That's what it's all about. And I bet you soon he will be selling merchandise again.
Even though I'm really pro-culture, I'm also against the grinding. But seeing this madness, this outside pressure of name-calling and these lies that are spread in media and so on about the Faroe Islanders, to stop the grind in this way, it makes me really, really frustrated. They're putting the label of murderer and the baby killer and all this on the Faroe Islands. I have seen comments that somebody should just come and nuke the islands just to get rid of every single one of these islanders that are monsters. We are being portrayed like devils, like everybody gets this label. And seeing this and thinking, if this is what conservation is about, I would rather join the side of the whalers, even though I really would like to see the grind end.
I'm sure I'll get a lot of flack for opening my mouth, but I have to say what's right. If you support Watson's attack on the Faroe Islands, you increase the killing of pilot whales. Full stop.